I've got my brass. It's all twice tumbled now, and something I want to impress on you. Like I say, I cleaned these up with the stainless steel media, and if you look, this brass looks like brand spanking new. It really does. It cleans it inside and out like new. But something I've noticed since I've been using the stainless steel media, I think when I do these, I tumble them twice. Collectively, they spend, I'll bet you, I don't know, 13, 14, 15 hours being tumbled. And I think those stainless steel pins, I think they have the effect of annealing the case. You know, especially becomes evident on rifles like my M1, my M1A, M1 Grands that I've had, even my ARs, semi-automatic firearms, that the cases, after repeated use, they'll split, the necks will split because the necks get brittle from being work hardened. And that becomes very evident on semi-automatic type firearms. Even on bolt rifles, it'll take more shootings, but it'll still do the same thing. But what happens is, because of the repeated hammering and usage of the heat and everything from the combustion process, it turns the necks brittle. And so in the past, what I used to do is, like for my M1A, I would do a whole batch of brass of 50 at a time. And then when I started to get one that the case would split, I'd end up having to throw the whole batch out for that reason, because the rest of them aren't far behind. But at any rate, since I've been using the stainless steel pins, I have not had a single case neck split on me. And like I say, I think that's because the stainless steel pins, millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of times work doing their thing in the tumbler. I think it has the effect of annealing the necks so that they don't become brittle and work harden and then split. So anyways, that's my take on that. But the second tumbling on them finishes the job off, gets them all perfectly clean. And as you can see here, I got two different types right here. I've got a Berdan prime case and a Boxer prime case. Let's take a closer look at those. All right, so can you see there the difference is, and as I explained before, the primer situation is a three-part deal. You have to have an anvil, the charge, the nitro, and the cup. Where on Berdan primers, the primer is only two parts. It's the nitro charge and the cup, because the anvil is incorporated in the case, whereas the Boxer primer, all three are included in the primer. But to my experience is Boxer primers are intended, when you put them in, you just seat them. You just push them in as far as until they bottom out in the primer pocket. Whereas the Berdan primers, I do believe you could probably push that primer down to where it contacts the anvil unintentionally while you're seating the primer in the case. So that's something to keep. What we're going to do is I'm going to take these Berdan prime case, I'm going to take the Boxer cases and put them aside for the time being. Put these over here. And I'm going to show you how I do the primers, get the primers installed properly into the Berdan cases. I kind of made myself a little bit of a special tool here. This is an RCBS hand primer. And this is a very nice tool regardless. This is not a bad way to go for priming cases regardless. But what I've done on this to do the Berdan primers is, as you see, I drilled and tapped the handle here and put a set screw in it so that I can adjust exactly how far in the primer pocket the primer goes, because you don't want them to go in too far, but you need them to be 3 to 5 thousandths below the bottom of the base of the case. So, and then of course you have to have the magic ingredient. And any of you guys that are watching this, maybe if you are Canadians, can you get these things in Canada? But this is the magic ingredient, and this is the Berdan primers. You can, I got these, I got a couple thousand of these things years ago when you could still get them here in the United States. I don't think they're available anymore. But as you see there, they, yeah, they're just two-part, nitro charge and the cup. So that's the magic ingredient there, guys. Tall ammo primers. These are KV-7.62N large rifle primers. My hand primer here, I'm gonna some primers. Something else I want to go over with you is the fact that when this GP11 brass, it's because it's military, it's staked in. Those primers are staked in, and so you got to remove the crimp. And so, but you got to remove the crimp without touching that anvil, damaging it. So this is what I've done. I've taken, this is an RCBS power station attachment that I just took, and I cut the tip of it off just a little bit so that it'll still get in there, and cut the primer pocket, cut the crimp out of the primer pocket, because it's critical that you have a good pathway for that primer to go into the pocket. It can't catch an edge or that sort of thing. It has to go in there square, and it needs to go in true and easy so the primer does not get smushed or damaged in any way when you press it in. So that's what we're gonna do now. And so I'll take and I'll stick a primer in there, put my, like that, up to the stop, and there you go. You have a case that is now ready to accept powder and bullet. So I'll be back in a minute. I got to finish priming the rest of these cases here. All right, guys. As you can see, I got my Berdan cases primed, and I think we're gonna load up some rounds. And this is what I'm gonna use. These are Hornady match, 168 grain, of course. Boat tail hollow points, and powder is IMR 4451. This burn rate is supposed to be like 4350. So my Sierra manual does not include this powder, but I'm going to use the burn rate on 4350 as my guide for it. And so I'm going to start with 51 grains of IMR 4451 in there, and we'll see how that goes. But I got to get my powder measure going here. See, I've never used this powder before, but it was what was available at the time. And so I checked, and we'll see. Maybe it's better, right? Looks like it's a little bit bigger grain than a lot of I use. But I want to take and I want to load 20 cases. But what I want to try in here is I want to identify the ones that, like I say, that I have shot. That this will be their fourth shooting. There's the 6. I'm going to start with those. I'm going to shoot these. These will be at these fourth time shooting. If they show that any of them are splitting, whatever ones I haven't fired, I'll just pull the bullets on them and reincorporate them into the process. But I want 51 grains of powder in it. So I've run a couple of handlefuls. Let's see, I don't remember where this powder measure was at last time I used it. So let's see where we got to go here. Oop, I got to do something here. I gotta zero my meter. Got to zero my all right, we are like 0. 41. So we want to go some turns on this thing. Each turn on this is about 3 grains. So we want about 3 turns on it. All right, let's try that. Put this up here in the hopper. All right. Yeah, pretty close, getting there. And so now we're close. Let's get, and I do the last little bit by hand. I trickle the powder the last little bit by hand. Let's see, I'll give it a little brush there. And see, so we're 51.1. You see how accurate this thing is? I'm just going to drop a couple of little grains of, and it'll puts it down to 51 grains. So there we go. That's 51 grains. Okay. So now for demonstration purposes, see, and I'm looking in the case here. Just want to get an idea of how how much it fills the case up. Looks like it's just about where I want it. So for demonstration purposes, what I'm going to do here now is I'm going to set this up to do a to press a bullet into it. So let's pull my resizing die out, which I was using this for my boxer prime cases, but let's get my seating. This is my Hornady seating die, and of course I got the match adjustment type thing on it there. So what we want to do here is you'll go and you want to take and put this guy, just the case, all the way up like that. And then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to back this out 1 full turn. You're going to get it. You're going to get this thing. You're going to put your case up in the ram, put the ram up. You're going to bring your seating die down till the seating die meets the neck of the case. And then I'll back it out a turn, 1 turn. Okay? And then I'll take it and tighten it down there. Okay, and so now this is the one I got. I just put powder in, and let's get one of these bullets out of here. But what I'm going to need to do, what I'm going to need to set up now, is I've got to set up my caliper to measure the base to the ogive on the bullet. And so I got to set up my caliper to do that. Okay. And this is the .30 caliber, call it. And of course this attachment takes up 1 inch, so whatever your reading is, you gotta subtract 1 inch from it. Okay, now we're ready to test the bullet seating depth. And what I'm gonna do now, believe it or not, there's a bit of a technique I use when I'm seating bullets. And of course what I want to do is I just bring it till it all touches together, and I'll turn the bullet like this. If you notice, what I want to feel is I want to feel that whole bullet come down to the neck so it sits flush on the neck. because you need, it's critical to have that bullet pressed into the case squarely. Otherwise, if it goes in cockeyed a little bit, it's going to waller that neck out, and you don't, that's exactly the kind of thing you don't want to have happen. But so what I'm going to do here now, and I do want these, I want these to spec out at 2" 250. That's the base to the ogive. Okay, so let's take a look at this one. I press this thing in a little bit of a ways. It's not in all the way yet, but I'm doing this right now just to get an idea where we're at. Okay, if you look, we are at 2" 304. So we've got about 54 thousandths more to go. And like I said, it wouldn't shock me if this setting here is pretty much already where I need to be, but press it in there a little bit more. Can you hear that? I shake the case. I like to feel the powder in there. You know, I like to feel it, feel it's in there. That's how my last check to make sure I got powder in the case before I put them in the box, ready to shoot. So we are at, we're about 2" 267. So we need to go down still just a little bit more. Little bit more. Let's try that. Just about like there. Look at there. We're just almost there. We're at 2" 252. So this last little bit right here, just touched it just a tiny bit, just moved it just a tiny bit. All right, there we go. Okay, we're at 248. All right. I hear it, I hear my powder in there. So what I want to do now on this next one is I want to take and get a load of powder. All right, that's okay. We're gonna lose a couple of grains. Ought to do the job. There we go. All right. So now this one, I'm going to put in there. And what I'm going to use is I'm going to use this other bullet now, because I know this one that I just pressed is where I need to be. So I'll move that up, put this all the way up, and now I can close that down like that. And this next one I press in there should be pretty much spot on. So yeah, one last check, look in there to make sure you got powder in there. Put the bullet in the case and put it up, touch it to the case, kind of start getting it seated squarely in the case. And then I'll gently start pushing it in as I rotate the case a little bit each time I push it in further. I can't stress to you enough how important it is to get the bullet to go into the case squarely. Otherwise, if it goes in cockeyed, it's going to wallow that neck out, and that's going to change the way the thing works. All right, let's see what we got here. There you go. 2" 250 right there. Bada bing, bada boom, guys. But then I got to thinking, I'm saying, I wonder, people are wondering, how do I come up with a 2" 250 seated depth on it, of course, and that is based not on the overall length. I don't really pay attention to cartridge overall length, to be honest with you. It is a reference point you can use if you don't have the tools to check it the way I'm checking it. But as you can see, that is 2" 250, but how do I know that is where I want it to be on this? Because on a K31, obviously, people think it has a real short throat. It actually does not have a short throat. It's the fact that the barrel is actually a little bit smaller than a conventional 308. So needless to say, a 308 bullet doesn't go into the throat as far, if you know what I mean. But anyways, so this is what we're going to do. I'm going to show you guys how to check the what your seating depth of your bullet is relative to a specific firearm you may be loading for, okay? But you're going to need to have a bit of a tool here. And that tool is, you're going to need one of these. I got a straight one and a curved one, and these are Hornady Tools. They used to be Stony Point, but I guess apparently when I got these it was Stony Point. But at any rate, you're going to need these guys, and of course, as I already showed you, you're going to need the tools to check the ogive to base on the cartridge itself. But this is one that you would use for like a semi-automatic rifle, like an M1A or an M1 Grand or something, so you can get into the action. And then this one just straight, you pull the bolt on a bolt rifle, and this just goes straight in the back. But what you're going to need is one of these things. And this is a 7.5x5.5 case. It's just one I've had. I don't know, probably not even it's probably a commercial one. Anyways, because Hornady does not make one, they don't make an adapter 7.5x5.5 that will screw on to your Hornady tool. You see? And so it has to be drilled and tapped, which is what I did to this one. Obviously, you're going to drill out the primer pocket and then tap it for the thread that the Hornady tool is. And some of you might be wondering then, what exactly is that drill and tap that you're going to need? And I just happen to have that right here. And I know you can't see it. I barely can see it. This is a 9/32 drill bit. And being you're just drilling brass, you don't have, it just can be just a cheap one, high-speed steel one, nothing special. And then the tap, same wise, you don't need any special tap, carbide tap or anything. But this is an 8mm by 0.75 thread pitch. Okay, so it's a fairly fine thread on that thing. So anyways, that's what you do. You drill it, tap it, and then you got an adapter so you can do this. And then what we're going to do is, you see, we're going to take a bullet, and I've got it so that the neck will allow me to push it in and pull it out. You see that? Right? It's got some tension on it, but not a hell of a lot. But what I do is, you see what you'll do is you'll take and you'll pull the ram back and you'll push that bullet back down into the case far enough so you know it's shorter than what the rifle is going to let it be. And then we come over here, pull the bolt out on my Swiss Private Series K31. And we're going to stick that guy into the chamber, make sure it's in all the way, it's in there straight, loosen this up, and then you're going to push that bullet forward until it meets the lands. You're going to tighten this back up, and then you're going to pull this out. See, and then you want to make sure it's back as far as it goes. And so right there, what we have is we have what our base to the ogive where it meets the lands, how far that is. And let's see. And so I have 2-inch 2078. So as you can see, which is what I want, I build these things so I've got about 25 thousandths free play from the bullet to the lands when it goes off. So anyways, guys, I thought that would be something that you might find interesting to see how I do that. I think that just about completes the cycle. I'll have to finish loading up the rest of these things now. But yeah, that's about the drift of it. That is the process start to finish from cases being dirty and fired to a couple of, look at that. This is Lencac over and out. Thanks for watching, guys.